I'm proud of the coalition we put together, the broadest and most diverse coalition in history. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, progressives, moderates, conservatives, young, old, urban, suburban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially those moments, and especially those moments when this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African-American community stood up again for me.
That was President-elect Joe Biden during his victory speech Saturday, where he acknowledged the contributions of Black voters to his campaign. A look at turnout from the 2020 election shows eligible Black and Latino voters were powerful forces in battleground states. Mr. Biden received upwards of 89% of support from Black voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. President Trump also made gains with the group, garnering 17% support nationwide. Meanwhile, in Arizona, 63% of the Latino vote went toward Mr. Biden. And Latino voters were key to President Trump's win in Florida, where he won 47% of their ballots cast. For more, let's bring in CBS News contributor Maria Elena Salinas and CBS News political contributor and Democratic strategist Antjuan Seawright. Welcome. It's great to see you both. Maria Elena, I think we got the memo today. We seem to be matching. It's
okay.
Good to see you. Yeah, I know you probably can't see us. Antjuan, let me start with you.
I can see you.
Because what's happening? Yeah, Antjuan, let me start with you. What's happening in Georgia here is really interesting. The last time a Democratic presidential nominee won Georgia was in 1992 when Bill Clinton won by 13,000 votes. So when you talk about the state's shifting demographics, Antjuan, who actually came out to support Joe Biden and where exactly were those voters concentrated?
Well, you know, Elaine, I said on many occasions that Black voters, this election was about survival. And every time a Black voter stepped up into the ballot box or stepped up into the booth or placed their vote, it was about life or death. And I think we saw that being demonstrated in the turnout numbers from African-American voters. In a place like Georgia, conventional wisdom would tell you that it will be a Republican state. However, we're not living in conventional times, and that's why you saw the fueled African-American turnout, which ended up, in my opinion, will be the reason why Democrats won Georgia and possibly the reason why we will win 2 U.S. Senate seats. If this election does not teach the world anything, it should teach the Democratic Party that Black voters are the nerve center of this party. We are the most loyal voting bloc in a generation, and we continue to prove that election after election. And for Black women, we owe you a great big thank you, because election after election, candidate after candidate, you all serve as the political glue to hold not only this country together, our communities together, but definitely this Democratic Party together.
Well, Antjuan, exit polls show that President Trump claimed or garnered about 17 or 18% of the vote among Black men, which is an increase from 2016. What was his pitch? And do you think that Democrats need to rethink their approach specifically when it comes to Black men?
You know, Elaine, two things happen in elections. You win or you learn. The one thing we learned from 2016 is that the most consequential voting bloc or constituency for Democratic voters or in the country are Black men. I am not surprised that we saw an increase in the number of people who voted for Donald Trump who identifies as a Black man, because for the first time in our country's history, 30 million eligible voters were African American. And so naturally, with an expanded pool, you'll see people perhaps drift away. I don't think Donald Trump made, per se, a direct pitch to convince voters. I think just he was able to maybe penetrate some of the low propensity voters with some talking points to convince them that somehow or another his agenda speaks directly to their needs and concerns. And so as Democrats, we have work to do. Here's what I'm convinced now. Black men and Black women, the collective Black vote, Majority went for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and now more than ever, we understand collectively the net worth of our vote, and so it will not be as easy to just give it away to Democrats or Republicans. We will be a very courted constituency, and if what you just said is true, Elaine, which I don't dispute that part, that is further demonstration that we are not a monolithic voting bloc.
Right. And speaking of which, Maria Elena, we have talked many times about how diverse the Latino community is. So in which of those subgroups did President Trump make the biggest gains, and with what message?
Well, yes, they are diverse. In fact, they're even diverse within the Republican Party. Republican Latinos in Florida don't have the same issues or don't have the same interests as Latino Republicans in Texas, for example. So yes, he did make inroads in Florida. He did make inroads in Texas. And as we've talked before, in Florida, it was very, very, very specific. I think what resonated with them there more than anything else was the anti-socialist message. Now, they really doubled down, tripled down on that message here because they knew that it would attract not only Cuban Americans, but also voters from other countries. They're a smaller group, but still significant, which is Venezuelans, Nicaraguans, and that came with a lot of misinformation, and they were also aided by radio talk show that sort of resonated with that message, where they spread this misinformation and really brought people out to vote. I think the same thing happened with the African American community than with the Latino community, that more people came out to vote. There were 32 million eligible voters in this time around, the largest minority voting bloc. And if we go by, for example, early voting, there was double the amount of early voters in the Latino community than in 2016. So they did go out and vote. In Texas, it's different. In Texas, it's pro-life, pro-gun, pro-business. So, you can't really compare Latinos even in the same party.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, Maria Elena, we've been talking about the impact of the Latino vote in places like Florida, like Arizona. In what other states do you think they are emerging as this very powerful force, not just with this election, but perhaps in 2024 as well?
Well, there are 6 states where the Latino makes up either 20% or higher of the electorate. And 4 of those are some of these battleground states: Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania was definitely one of them, and North Carolina is another. Texas, of course, also. But not only did the Latino vote come out for Biden in Arizona, but in Nevada, but also in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, there's 500,000 eligible Latino voters, and there they voted for him. 6 out of 10 voted for him there. And we were talking about Georgia. Georgia also had a significant impact, Latino voters there. Yesterday I was listening to Stacey Abrams, and she did credit the Latino community with forming this group, this coalition, I should say, of voters. There were about 64,000 that came out to vote for Biden there in Georgia. So whenever it's a very close race, Latinos have a significant enough percentage of voters where they can make a difference. In all of these states, there are hundreds of thousands of voters that can certainly make a difference. And also, it was women. I think one of the stories out of this whole election is going to be women and young people. African American women and Latino women voted more than African American men and Latino men. So women really showed up.
All right, Maria Elena Salinas and Antjuan Seawright, so great to have you both. Thank you.